Hi folks, Dom Lawson here, reporting from Oakland, California. I'm here with Logan Mader, who is several days into being a member of Machinehead again after a very long time. How are you feeling? Has it been a strange experience to come back after? How many years? 20?
Well, I left the band it's been over 20 years since I played in the band.
Yeah.
So I'm here for the birthday party.
Yeah.
It feels amazing. I'm really excited. I'm really grateful, and still feels like not real. It's like feels surreal, and trying to get my head around it. So much going on, and I talked to Rob about it about 6 weeks ago or 8 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I said, yes, I want to do this. And then I talked to his manager, Joseph, and he said, this is going to be great, but don't get your hopes up all the way. There's still a couple things to sort out, like availabilities and things to wrap up and the moving parts to make this tour happen.
Yeah.
100%. And so it was about 7 days ago that Rob said, hey, Logan, can you be in Oakland in a week?
Yeah.
And that's when I knew that shit got real, and I started to believe it for real and started to, get excited and like, holy shit, it's like mind-blowing for me.
Yeah.
Excited, happy. It's gonna be a lot of good vibes, and basically a birthday party, worldwide.
Yeah.
Celebration of something that was great 25 years ago, and it's still great today. Fortunately, I'm really grateful for that, and a lot of that reason that it's still relevant today, I think, has to do with the fact that Rob has kept this thing alive and strong for 2.5 decades. So
when you guys kind of were in the room together playing for the first time since, with Chris as well, for the first time since 95?
Yeah.
What was that like? How quickly did it come back to you? Obviously you know the songs, but you've not been playing them for 20 years, so.
Well, it felt surprisingly familiar, it felt really good. Chris was on fire, and it was just great to see Rob, and he was, and to be in that room and play those songs was amazing. Like a really treat for me, and like that's the vibe of this. It's going to be really fun and good vibes, and we're going to walk away from it all smiles and hugs and no drama, and just celebrating something that's great. And that's it.
And has it been? I wonder, because you obviously were out of the band for all that time. This is a kind of a one-off celebration that will last as long as it lasts, but it's specific to this album and this time and all the rest of it. But when you were out of the band, did you observe did you pay attention to what Machinehead were doing, or kind of? I just wonder what it's like, seeing a band evolve when you were a fundamental part of it when it started.
Yeah. Then from outside perspective, I didn't speak with Rob for about 5 years after I left the band. And then one day he called me in 2003, just out of the blue, and called me to say that, wanted to let me know that he wasn't mad at me anymore, because we had, things. We had friction and stuff. And that was a really good phone call. I was really happy to receive that. And then we've been on friendly terms ever since then. So Machinehead would come on tour through LA, and I would be invited to come see them, and I would go pretty much every time they would come through town. I would come and see them play and hang out, and it was all good vibes, and it's been like that for the last 16 years.
Yeah.
But I do remember the first time I saw them live, it was on Through Ashes of Empires, and in LA at House of Blues, and I was like, wow, Rob, this is a fucking good band. And I never, and Rob was really, really good frontman, and I knew he was good, obviously. Like, it wouldn't have worked like it did if he wasn't, but I never experienced it from the front with the power of the PA and the energy coming right at you.
Yeah.
I remember that stuck out in my head, and that was cool to see. And he's just been killing it ever since. It's much different than being on stage and seeing it from the side view, and mainly just seeing the crowd as opposed to seeing the band.
Yeah.
It was a cool experience.
This is one of when you, as you say, you haven't had a vast amount of time to kind of be relearning the songs, I guess. Are there any that have been particularly challenging? I mean, obviously these are all songs you can play because you played them previously, but I just wonder if there are any in particular that were kind of like, oh, this is a challenge.
For me, I'm feeling almost pretty good about it all. I mean, I'm a little bit self-critical and hard on myself, but I think I'm a better guitar player now than when I was in Machinehead, because I've been playing and doing music and stuff. But mostly rhythm, like doing lead guitar, on that record, I did a bunch of lead guitar, a few, and that's a little bit challenging because it's not something I do all the time. And I'm just been focusing on putting in the time to feel it and, do it justice and do it better. I want to do it better than, what I did back then, I think it's possible, and it's like it deserves that energy and the time put into it to, to nail it like that. So
are you? I wonder if you. I mean, I imagine you all are to some degree, but are you conscious of the kind of the significance of this album? Because I think when people talk about metal in the '90s, they often have a kind of fairly negative slant on it, as if there was a handful of bands, but essentially grunge and these other things took over and metal really suffered. But actually it was a very strong and fertile period, the first few years of the 90s. I just wonder, do you have a sense of that?
Well, for me, it was a very important time in metal, because I was there living.
Because you were involved. Of course.
And looking back, and I've just, because of what I've heard from people, I hear it often, like that Burn My Eyes is a really important album, and I hear that from a lot of musicians, and I've read it in some press about it being like one of the top 10 most influential metal albums of the 90s. And it's just like, wow, okay. I'm not sure what to say about that, other than I'm just stoked to have been a part of it, And,
Do you think you've all changed as people? I mean, you've only spent a few days. I mean, obviously you've been in touch with Rob and stuff, but you haven't seen Chris for a while. I mean, do you snap back into the old ways, the old personality mix, or is?
Yeah, I mean, it feels really familiar in a lot of ways, but it's really clear that both of them have grown a lot as people. But the same core is still there, and it feels really familiar. And talking about things that happened back then that I hadn't remembered or thought about, it's pretty cool to reminisce, and old inside jokes coming up, and just laughing my head off because of and things I haven't thought about for a long time. It's pretty amazing.
As a last question, then, what are you most looking forward to about the tour? Aside from obviously playing shows, that's a given. But I mean, it's a big old, it's going to be around the world, and playing to a shitload of people, probably an awful lot of people who you obviously you've not played to before as a member of Machinehead.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to perceiving what it's like to be in Machinehead in 2019, because I'll get to do that. I know they have a lot of fans that are way too young to have experienced Burn My Eyes, and maybe they know about it, so it'll be nice for them to see this version of a reinventation or reinventing of this.
Just made up a word.
I just reinvented a word. So new fans to see this, and me to see that, and the whole adventure and camaraderie, and kind of get to relive something that was great, for a few months or whatever it is, and looking forward to the whole adventure.
Fantastic. Thank you, Logan.
Thank you.
Cheers, man.